Hey guys, welcome back to Govinda's Garden, where we are growing backyard food forest in western North Carolina. And today is October 21st, 2022. And we are out in the orchard area. Just want to talk about companion planting, which is something conceptually I understand as planting different types of plants near each other that can benefit from each other's presence. A very simple example is that, say you have some fruit trees like we do here. Fruit trees produce flowers that eventually turn into fruit, and sometimes they need to be pollinated by bees or other like flying insects. How do you attract pollinators? Well, they're naturally attracted to the flowers, but you can also plant other flowers around them to attract even more pollinators. And right now, the glaring example of that is this plum tree that has an aster flower bush that has a whole bunch of bees on it. Today there was a plant sale at my local nursery, and I picked up a bunch of perennial plants, flowering plants primarily, that I want to drop in various places around the orchard to help build diversity, help attract more pollinators, and just kind of beautify the garden. Here are some of the plants I picked up today. This big one is a chrysanthemum. It's a perennial chrysanthemum, and I literally just pulled it off from the porch, brought it out here, and a bee flew up to it right away. We also have some yarrow and some echinacea and some hyssop and what are these called? Coreopsis. A couple different varieties of those. Lavender and Calamintha nepeta. I don't know too much about flowers, but these were kind of recommended as good pollinating plants. And I got a bunch of garlic. Another benefit of companion planting is that you can plant some things that repel pests. One example I've heard of is planting garlic near fruit trees. Some pests, such as Japanese beetles, that start out as little larvae underneath in the soil near the tree, they are repelled by the smell or the essence of garlic. So companion planting can be kind of a defensive move against pests. It can attract pollinators. It can also, some plants can deposit vital nutrients into the soil that is shared with the tree. A good example of this is comfrey, and comfrey is commonly used by gardeners because it is a nitrogen fixing plant, which means that it is able to absorb nitrogen from the soil, and then it gets stored in the plant matter, and then you can take the plant and what they call chop and drop. What that means is just kind of taking off some of the foliage, which contains those nutrients that were brought up from its roots. So there's some nitrogen in here, and then you can just put it near the base of your tree. I'd probably pull the wood chips out a little bit and just put that down there. And as it decays, all those nutrients eventually end up in the soil and help feed the tree. In our food forest here, we're focusing on perennial plants, and perennial just means that you don't need to plant them every year. Unlike something like rice, where you plant it at the beginning of the season, it produces the rice, and then you harvest it, and then you do the same thing again next year. Perennials are plants that you just have to plant once, and then it survives through the colder seasons, comes back in the spring naturally, so you don't have to plant it again or get more of that type of plant. Trees are an example of a perennial because you plant the tree once, so you obviously don't have to plant it again, and it'll just continue to exist. So perennials are a lot less work, and that's important to me at least. So over here I can show you an example of a pawpaw tree, which you can probably barely see. All of its leaves have dropped, and next to it is a comfrey plant.